Order, please. Before we go into number 2, moment of silence, the last week we lost another 2 great educators that served the district for about 36 years, Ms. Betty Harv. She was the ESL instructor for many years at Pace High School, and also Mr. Salinas, who was a counselor and also the elementary teacher for about 32 years. So keep them in your prayers.
Mr. President, we also lost Raul Perez, who was a custodian for many, many years, retired from the district. Raul Perez.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you. Mr. Cortez?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Thank you. Pat, just recall, know that Mr. Colunga is out today. Number 5.
Item 5, recommend approving the agenda of the rescheduled regular board meeting of December 8, 2009 with any corrections or deletions.
Mrs. Sprinton?
As she has stated, as in written form.
Mr. Science?
This one, I move to move up. One second. I move.
We need to have.
Agenda item number 35,
A and B.
A and B, to after public audience?
Yes, okay.
Is that right?
That would be right. Okay.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I believe there was some amendments, Mr. Springston, that may have been added.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
On general function, item 11, number E, and I do, and please excuse me, I did not recall that one. Under bids, proposals, and purchases, you have it in your packet, item number 29, page 229, will be replaced with 229A.
It's in here.
Pages 229B, 229P will be added to the backup agenda.
Okay.
Mr. President,
I have a, yes.
is that 229B through 229P or just
Yes.
B and P?
Yes,
So that's through.
through to.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, I have a motion to move the item number 35 A and B,
And also B, 35 A and B.
35 A and B to right after public audience. Do I have a second?
I'll say.
Being second by Mr. Cortez. Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay.
Item 6,
No, wait a minute, we still need to approve the agenda with the additions.
change.
Okay, those in favor of approving the agenda with the edit, do I have a motion?
I move.
Moved
I
by-
second.
By Mr. Sayas and second by Mr. Perez. Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. Okay.
Item 6, recommend approving the minutes of the regular board meeting of October 20, 2009 with any corrections.
Mr. Springton.
As stated, sir.
Anyone else? Do I have a motion to
I
approve?
move to approve the minutes as reflected.
Dr. Scudo
I'll
moves to
second it.
approve. Being second by Sayas. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those in favor, nay. Those against, say nay. Okay. Okay.
Item 7, Superintendent's Report. Conference presentations. 1, recognition of 2009-2010 State Coordinated Approach to Child Health Catch Champion Award.
Yes, Mr. Springton.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, members of the audience. At this time, I would like to recognize Ms. Momfiles, and she has the floor.
Mr. President, Mr. Springsteen, members of the board, Liz Avitia is our district's health coordinator for curriculum, and she is here to make this very, very wonderful presentation. Ms. Avitia?
Good evening. Mr. Board President, Mr. Springsteen, board members and administration, ladies and gentlemen from the audience, with me tonight are the members of our district catch team, which represent all of the 8 components in our catch program. We are very pleased and honored to be here tonight announcing one of the 6 catch champions selected from across the state. I would like to read the announcement that was sent from the catch office in Austin. It says, "Dear Mr. Springsteen, congratulations to Brownsville ISD and their continued efforts towards implemented coordinated school health in conjunction with the Coordinated Approach to Child Health program. Over the years, my staff and I have enjoyed working with your teachers, child nutrition personnel, physical education teachers, and administrators. I want to take this opportunity to inform you that the University of Texas catch team recently selected Mr. Mario Gonzalez as a catch champion for 2009. Mr. Gonzalez is being recognized for his untiring dedication to create healthy environments for the children in Texas. On December 3rd in Arlington, Texas, he was recognized along with 6 other catch champions at the school district and community level. The catch team is impressed with Mr. Gonzalez's commitment and passion towards the improvement of school health. Finally, I would like to extend my appreciation for Mr. Gonzalez's work and dedication to helping children develop healthy habits. So, Mr. Gonzalez, could you please come up? His administrator as well. Could you please come up to receive this award? Congratulations. Congratulated by
You don't mind we take a picture with you guys? No?
He paused there and thought about it, though.
Was it?
Paused and thought about it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Congratulations, dear. Uy, congratulations, son. Congratulations, Mama. Congratulations. Is it hot in yours?
It's a little warm. It was 82 degrees.
¿Se lo llevo? Can I take this up there?
Six, yeah, but I like this.
7.
There's 7. Yeah, there's one more.
Oh, yeah.
Porque si no,
Item 2, recognition of high school marching bands for UIL Pigskin success.
I'm right here, sir. Ms. Momfiles, if you'll go ahead and introduce Dr. Rendon and her crew, and I see them all standing back there in the back. Bring them up.
Yes, sir, and they bring us more good news. Dr. Rendon.
Good evening, Mr. Springsteen, Mr. Aguilar, and members of the board. I'm very proud to stand before you this evening to recognize all 5 of our Brownsville High School band programs for superior achievements. At UIL Pigskin Competition this year, all 5 of our Brownsville 5A high school bands earned the highest ratings available by being awarded 3 straight superior ratings. This is the first time all 5 of our high school bands have earned straight superior ratings as 5A schools. when they compete, there are 3 judges, and not only getting a Division I, that was exciting enough, but then to find out that every single one of our bands received straight 1s. So they got a 1 from all of the judges there, every single band that went before the stadium for competition. It was very exciting. For this, each of our outstanding band programs were presented with the UIL Sweepstakes Trophy. At this time, I ask that Mr. Paul Flinchbaugh, Supervisor of Instrumental Music, present the band drum majors and their directors.
Good evening, Mr. Springston, Mr. Aguilar, and members of the board. I am proud to present to you tonight the student leaders of the 2009 Brownsville High School band programs. First, from Hannah High School, we have drum majors Ashley Pettis, Sarah Quintanilla, and Hector Hernandez. The director of bands at Hannah High School is Dennis Ewing, and the principal for Hannah High School is Ms. Terry Alarcon. Next, from Lopez, we have drum major for the Lobo Band, Mr. Jared Evans. The director of bands at Lopez High School is George Trevino, and with us this evening is assistant band director Steve Myers. From Pace High School, we have drum majors Sam Guerra and Jesus Arias. The director of bands at Pace High School is Mr. Rick Hernandez, and with us this evening is assistant principal at Pace High School, James Grishel. From Porter High School, we have drum majors Ana Gonzalez and Oscar Gonzalez. The director of bands at Porter High School is Mr. Juan Sosa, and Porter principal is Ms. Doris Alceda. And finally, from Rivetta High School, we have drum major David Gomez. The director of bands at Rivetta High School is Rolando Zapata, and with us this evening is assistant band director Mr. Juan Cantu. Mr. Springston, members of the board, on behalf of our BISD band students, directors, and parents, I would like to express our appreciation to you for all of your support. Your efforts has provided our talented students with the resources necessary to realize their potential. We thank you for everything you do for the students of BISD. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the BISD drum majors and directors of our 5 superior Brownsville High School band programs.
Congratulations. 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 Good job. Good job, guys. Congratulations. Congratulations. Good job. Congratulations. Good job. Congratulations. Good job. Congratulations. 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 Good job. Congratulations, sir.
Good to see you too. Y'all get line and get your photos.
Need to get the board risers.
We got our photo coordinator.
Oh, now what?
Maybe.
Oh, they're going to stand up. They're going to stand up behind you. Hey, sir, how are you? Doing all right. Oh my God! Don't even such a hard time being charitable.
Go shoulder to shoulder. Right there, you got them all?
You just finished this report. Stapled it and got to pass it out. That's what it is.
I'm ready.
Thank you. Might as well, sir.
I don't see
Hey.
Thank you.
Nice. Look at that.
Wow. Here we go. Thank you, man.
Beautiful. Thank you,
They usually sit right
This is the first, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. This is awesome. But it won't be a last.
I think this is
Of
just.
course, we all want to thank, we're very proud of our young people, and also want to thank the band directors. First time we have all 5 high schools. And there's tremendous improvement. Not only certain schools have jumped, not in the marching, but also in the sight reading contest that information you sent us, Dr. Rendon. So really, the program has really increased in the last 4 or 5 years. So thank you. Thank you, Paul. Pat?
Item 3, recognition of Texas Association of Gifted and Talented Advocates of the Year.
It's pretty. Mr. Springton?
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I will go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Momfiles again.
Mr. President, Mr. Springston, members of the board, again, more good news upcoming. This is from the Department of Advanced Academics, and Merrill Hammonds, our program administrator, is here to give us the details of this good news.
Thank you, Ms. Monfals. President Aguilar, Interim Superintendent Mr. Springston, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen of the audience. The Texas Association for Gifted and Talented, otherwise known as TAGIT, is among the largest nonprofit organizations of its kind in the United States, serving over 3,000 educators and parents dedicated to meeting the needs of gifted and talented students. Each year, TAGIT chooses an outstanding GT Advocate and GT Teacher of the Year for each region in the state. I'm pleased to announce that this year that both Region 1 winners come from the BISD family. The TAGIT Region 1 Advocate of the Year this year is Mr. Kim Moore, Principal of Skinner Elementary. I'm proud to present Mr. Moore with this year's plaque representing his accomplishments. Mr. Moore is part of the Porter Cluster under Area Assistant Superintendent Ms. Rachel Ayala. Congratulations, Mr. Moore. This year's TAGIT Region 1 Teacher of the Year is Ms. Noelle Kendall, a 4th grade teacher from Hudson Elementary. I'm proud to present Ms. Kendall with this year's plaque representing her accomplishment. Ms. Kendall is here with her principal, Dr. Rita Hernandez, and Ms. Kendall asked me right before we started, she has as all outstanding teachers in the district do, there's usually a team that work together and plan, and so she has a team of her fellow teachers with her, so she wanted them recognized as well. So we have Ms. Kendall, Dr. Rita Hernandez, and Ms. Kendall's team from Hudson Elementary. Ms. Noelle Kendall, Teacher of the Year.
Oh, this is so nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Hudson, of course, is part of the Hanna Cluster under Area Assistant Superintendent Dr. Carl Montoya. Congratulations to these 2 outstanding individuals for their recognition and all that they do, not only for the gifted and talented students of BISD, but for all BISD students.
Thank you. Mr. Representative.
Congratulations. Good job. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Congratulations. 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 Good job. Hey, Rita.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
So is it a prerequisite to be part of the work? I think so. Thank you. See you. Yes, thank you. And a dear
Sweetheart, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. I know, me too. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations, sir.
And we'll build around her.
Ms. Kendall.
Come on, right here with me.
Ms. Kendall.
Yes.
What's going to be your project this year?
I'm working with the National Park Service this year on the traveling historical. The leaders who were developed at the battle at Palo Alto went on to become
Excellent. Amen to that. Way to go.
Yeah, no, she gets away with it.
Okay.
Great job. Pat?
Item 4, recognition of BISD's 2009 Alliance Merck Ciencia Scholar.
Mr. Springton?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, members of the audience. Again, Ms. Monfils.
Mr. President, Mr. Springston, members of the board. Last year, while a lot of our students were applying for the Rhodes Scholarship, this opportunity for the Merck Ciencia scholarship also came up, and we just found out very, very recently that we do have a BISD awardee. So we do have a student from BISD Lopez High School, graduated last spring 2009, who has been awarded this scholarship. He's here tonight. Oh, I'm sorry, he is not here tonight, and Ms. Moore will explain that, but we do have his parents with us. Ms. Moore?
Mr. Springston, Mr. Aguilar, members of the board. On November 10th, BISD received the wonderful news that one of our students, Juan Pettis, a 2009 graduate of Lopez High School, was one of the 10 recipients nationwide to receive the Alliance Merck Ciencia Scholars Award. This scholarship was developed by the National Alliance for Hispanic Health with the goal of improving Hispanic students' access to higher education and degrees in the STEM program: science, technology, engineering, and math. Only 3 cities in the nation were selected to submit applications for this award: Elizabeth, New Jersey, Los Angeles, California, and fortunately, Brownsville, Texas. As an Alliance Merck recipient, Juan will receive a financial commitment of $42,500 in scholarship and summer intern support during the next 4 years of his college education.
Way to go.
Juan has already begun his college work, and he is presently at the University of Texas at Arlington, where he is majoring in mathematics. During his tenure at Lopez High School, Juan earned a 3.68 cumulative grade point average and was able to complete his high school diploma while earning college credit through the UTB Upward Bound Math and Science program. Juan is also very appreciative of the support and guidance that he received from the entire Lopez High School staff. And representing Lopez High School this evening is Alicia Roberts, head counselor, and Joe Guzman, assistant principal. Juan is the first in his family to attend college, and he already has big plans for his future. He dreams of being involved in the NASA space program and one day, believe it or not, of conducting a space mission to Pluto. With the determination, stamina, and hard work that Juan has already displayed during his years at Lopez High School, there is no doubt in anyone's mind that his dreams will become a reality. But most of all, Juan credits his parents, Juan and Susana Pettis, for setting an example of hard work which inspired his determination and strength of character. He believes that it was their sacrifices that gave him the will to achieve his goals. So in Juan's absence, it's my privilege to present his father and his sister Ruby, who is a junior also at Lopez High School, with this plaque from the BISD Board of Trustees, honoring Juan and his accomplishment of being one of only 10 students nationwide to receive this prestigious award. Please.
Way out here. Go.
There's more.
Come on, Sharon.
Karen, come on.
You have to have a keepsake. You have to have a picture of you.
It's going to cost you $10.
You did very good then.
You read well.
Is the principal here? Thank you.
Item 5, recognition of Texas BISD Bilingual Department Best Practices Award.
Mr. Prince.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, let me call upon Ms. Momfiles.
Mr. President, Mr. Springston, members of the board, if we can stand it, one more piece of wonderful news this evening. And this is the Texas Education Agency's award to Brownsville ISD's Bilingual Early Transition Program. I'd like to invite Maria Gonzalez, our program administrator, and any of her staff members who are here with us to accept this award. The submission is, of course, a process that is lengthy and very challenging, and our program, our bilingual, BISD Bilingual Early Transition Program, was selected as best practices program for the whole state for this year, based mainly on the data that from 2005 through 2008 was the data that they looked at. Looking at this data in our bilingual students, it was found that when our bilingual students, after they've exited the bilingual program, reaching 5th grade, they are currently surpassing the state's average on our state assessments. Also, of course, being recognized for our teacher preparation and our teacher training program, the fidelity to the program that we were able to testify to as far as program implementation. So I present to Ms. Gonzalez and, of course, all of BISD this certificate, this plaque from the Texas Education Agency, Bilingual Early Transition Exit Program, Best Practice with TEA.
I just need to say that this couldn't have happened without the practitioners out at the campuses, the over 1,000 bilingual teachers and their administrators that support the implementation of the program, and of course without the support of my staff and my department and our upper administration. I do want to say that in the write-up for the best practices, the board is mentioned as having board approved this model that is being implemented since 2005. Congratulations to you too. Thank you.
Oh, that was probably my fault.
I think I won my hand is in my forehead. My hair is
Item 6, presentation on public reporting of progress in meeting highly qualified teacher requirements.
Mr. Springton.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. At this time, I will refer and call upon Ms. Fox.
Thank you, Mr. Springston, Mr. Aguilar, members of the board. While we're extremely pleased with the success of our students, we know that that comes from having highly qualified teachers. And so I'd like to present to you today some information regarding the No Child Left Behind Act, which requires that all core academic subject area teachers and instructional paraprofessionals must have met the highly qualified requirements. By law, a public presentation must be made to the Board of Trustees regarding the district's highly qualified status. In order to be highly qualified under No Child Left Behind, a teacher must have a bachelor's degree, full state certification, and demonstrated competency in the core academic subject areas assigned. In order to be a highly qualified instructional paraprofessional, the person must have completed 2 years of education at an institution of higher education, earned an associate's degree or higher, and have met a rigorous standard of quality through a formal local academic assessment. The HR department screens all candidates prior to recommending them for hire to make sure that they meet this highly qualified criteria. In addition, the Human Resources Department works collaboratively with campus principals in monitoring changes of personnel to maintain compliance with the No Child Left Behind standards. The Department of Human Resources is proud to announce this evening that all BISD teachers and instructional paraprofessionals continue to meet the 100% highly qualified status. On page 52 of your information, you can see the form that will be sent to the state that for the third year in a row, BISD teachers and instructional paraprofessionals are 100% highly qualified. There is more specific information concerning the campus and the district information on the TEA website at www.tea.state.us/NCLB. Thank you for the time to present this, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
Any questions? Pat?
Item 7, review and discuss yearly fees and expenses for the use and assignment of district cell phones. Board member request.
Ms. Garcia.
Yes, Mr. Springston had a question because back, I believe 2 months ago, Dr. Escobedo had requested some information, and as I reviewed it, I had some concerns if that were the best place to do business as to when we have to spend $5,000, $6,000 worth of cell phones on a monthly basis. It caught my attention. I know that there's 98 phone lines, but I have a question, back when we first started, I guess, do you know who were the only ones that were to have cell phones, or all of a sudden they just implemented that all other departments are to have cell phones just because they have a supervisory position?
I do not know exactly when cell phones were brought into the district. That I do not know. I did not go back and do that research as far as that was concerned. The research that I did was to find out that we are under a state contract, which is what they call the DIR. And our contract is a contract that works collaboratively with the City of Brownsville and also Cameron County for that cheaper price. And I'll have Ms. Pena come up and give me some more information because there's a lot here with those 83 lines that we share a pool. And it's also based on some of the emergency situations that we have contracts with and that we don't go over the minutes. And Ms. Pena, can you give me some more information, please?
Yes, sir. Good evening, board members, Mr. Aguilar, and Mr. Springston. Ms. Garcia, I'm not sure of the question, but I'm going to answer Mr. Springston's first, if you don't mind.
No, that's fine.
We are on what is called a public sector contract under DIR. What that means exactly is that we do not go, it is not required that we do a bidding process for this service. Rather, we go off a state-awarded contract. The second part of it is that we are, in conjunction with the City of Brownsville, Cameron County, and the other jurisdictions within the city on the same Sprint phone system network. In other words, we are able, in case of an emergency, to freely and with all access contact all the law enforcement that we need to on our behalf without having I guess, the worry that we're going to have drop calls and not being able to access them because they are on the same Sprint system that we are. Now, on the basis of the public sector,
We do get a 23% discount on our fees. In other words, it does not include equipment or accessories, but it does include what our plans are. We have been able to condense a lot of our plans. We've been able to look at pulling more minutes. As a matter of fact, I think right now we have about 45,000 minutes that we pulled. It is a free sprint-to-sprint service. All of our phones are sprint-to-sprint. In other words, we communicate with each other on Sprint. Again, going back to the city of Brownsville, going back to Cameron County, and going back to the jurisdictions within the city, they're also on the Sprint system. To answer the question that you had, Ms. Garcia, I am not sure, like Mr. Springston, when we started with cell phones. However, the process to follow here is that we go through the superintendent's office. Anytime a department or a campus requests that we issue a cell phone, we do ask them to put it in writing. We ask them for approval.
Okay.
And we do send them through the superintendent's office for approval.
Okay. I've noticed here that back in October of '08, well, I was not here, but I'll go through that, which was October of '08, I noticed 6,000, and then in December, 6,363, and then it jumps, and in February, 6,258, and then in March, 6,552, June of '09, 6,092. We're in '09, 2010 school year, but just in the year of 2008-2009, we paid a total of $70,897.
Yes, ma'am.
And to me, it's really a lot of money to be paying for cell phones, because I stop and think that what happened to radios. I know that there was a time and point that I know some departments used to use radios, and radios worked very well. That's if communication between employees and administrator and department that's needed. I mean, police officers function very well on radios. They can go, 5-10 miles away from each other, and they can still communicate over a radio. I think a lot of the times it's just a crystal that you have to change in case you need a better reception or to add a channel or so, depending on what the need is for the department. But I've noticed here that we have certain departments that it's not a police department, it's not the immediate superintendent, and I just don't understand why would those people need a cell phone. Can somebody answer me that? I know that in food service there's people there, there's administration there, and I know that when you go from one school to the other, there's phones there, or have we gotten rid of the landlines?
I would not be able to answer that. I know that at least every campus has one landline, but everything else has been replaced with IP phones.
But the IP phones are still phones that you pick up, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
They work just with computer or the internet or something or other, because I know that sometimes the system goes down.
Yeah. It's based on servers. Yes, ma'am.
Can you answer me that, Mr. Springston, as to why? I would understand you with a cell phone. I would understand chief of police with a cell phone. I would understand. I mean, to me, we have certain departments here, and we even have a secretary here that's I don't know who determines as to who gets the cell phones. I mean, maybe we must have started with 25 phone lines. Now we're up to 98 cell phones. Are we going to cap it? Are we going to continue to grow and do more business with Sprint or whoever the cell phone company may be? I have a concern, because if you multiply on a yearly basis, minimum $60,000 per year, that's a lot of money on cell phones. I mean, to me, I don't know how the rest of the board members think, but if we can do some, I just have a concern. I mean, I know that Chief Garcia, definitely I would want for, that's a must. You must have a cell phone, and certain other administrations.
No,
I know you don't have to, but you are the guy that we need to get a hold of. So, and I really would like to see how are we can we remove, also, is it on a contract basis, on a year-to-year? Is it on a 2-year? What?
No, ma'am. The other advantage that we have with Sprint and being on a public sector plan is that if I cancel one line or all lines tomorrow, I will not be charged a fee. There is no termination fees. So with the movement that we have in BISD, I'm able to take advantage of that, because if tomorrow I am no longer here, then they'll go ahead and terminate my line without having the penalty of a termination cost. Also, we're not tied to contracts like much our personal cell phones that we have to sign up for a 2-year contract. It is on a year-to-year, and it is on a DIR.
I would just like to know is there a certain criteria that you're going to go by if we're going to, I mean, I know that all the lines are there, but it seems that like food service, every supervisor that's in the food service department has a cell phone, you know, and I know that it varies from cell phone to cell phone, some of them $57, some of them $46, $34, but you know, I'm sure that the taxpayers weren't even aware of how many phone lines we had and how much we're paying on a yearly basis, and who are we really assigning all these cell phones to? Yeah. You know, so I would appreciate it if we can just, you know, I know that the Administrator Health Department, I think that you need to see which ones are really the ones in dire need, maybe, or that we come to an agreement we can only spend this much on a yearly basis. I mean, we put caps on everything else. I mean, I know that we had an issue, you know, approving tunnels, a motivational, you know, spirit type of a thing for students, but yet for cell phones, we don't even think twice or even look into it. And that's where I have concerns.
Thank you, and I do appreciate your concerns, and I will address each one of these as an individual department, like computer services. I know that they go from campus to campus to campus, and they might get a call while they're on one campus to go see another campus, and I know that each one of those have that phone, and they're constantly communicating on depending on where their needs. But I have no problem going through the list and visiting with each department, such as Ms. Mendez with food service. I know that each one of our supervisors are out in the field constantly, and if something happens somewhere and they need it somewhere else, then they use that cell phone to get them to where we're just in that communication network world now. We've got a lot of communication at our fingertips, and that's where a lot of this lies in facilities. I know that Cesar and Jerry and Martine and Boches, all these guys are going out to different locations looking and working with the contractors and the construction agents and the architects, and they may get a call and to call back into the central office or to go to another site, since we have so many different sites, and it's convenience. If not, then we don't have some of our concerns on some of the sites addressed immediately with that architect. And so there's certain circumstances for each one, and each one's different, but I have no problem going back and working with the maintenance department, who has the most, and visiting with them and looking at why there are certain departments and certain department heads have it. My only comment here is that I know that when Mr. Arteaga is out into the field, and all of his department supervisors are in different locations of the field, he is able to get in touch with them immediately. Just for an example, 3 weeks ago, I know it happened over at Porter, they had a water break, and he immediately was able to make contact with several of his lead supervisors who worked in plumbing, who worked with driving certain machinery, because he had his cell phone, and he got a hold of those people that way to be there within minutes and to try to find a water leak that had lowered the water pressure there on that campus. Instances like that. It's just a communication age, just to be able to get there quickly. And those are things also, then I know that she didn't mention, the other aspect is with the police department. In this contract, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, under this contract, and Ms. Pena,
yes, sir.
If we have an emergency, I think under this contract with the DIR and through the state that we have access to 4 or 5 satellite phones under this contract. And if we have any type of state of emergency, if all of these things go down and the cell phones and the cell towers are not working, under this contract, we still have access to those satellite phones where we can stay in constant communication with this district and also public leaders in the county and also the city. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. We also have access to what they call an emergency response team. They will actually send a team of however many individuals we need that have high technical knowledge in as far as cell phone servers, satellites, and all that good stuff that we need during emergencies. They work and are approved by the Department of Homeland Security. So they will dispatch a team of 3, a team of 4, however members we need, and they are here to do emergency response. That's exactly what they're trained to do.
And I understand, but even if you were to go back and do research as to how many minutes each department is really using, that it is pertaining situations like maintenance department. I know before they used to have radios, but now I guess the radios are no longer in existence, and they still got things done. If you're talking about convenience, well, yes, I agree with you, but where are we going to cap it? Where are you going to say, you know what, no more? This is the only people that are going to be allowed because these are the type of situations that they will run into, or this is the reason why, because in case they need something right away, they can make contact via phone. I mean, those are things that we have to look at. I mean, I understand that before we used to do it differently. I have a concern the amount of money that we're spending.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You know, and I also have concern when it comes to money, because every program, I have always said, and every accounts need to be reviewed perhaps as often as we can. However, I think the administration is in the best position to tell the board what is the best communication system for the district. And it seems to me there's a lot of advantages to what we have today, especially when you don't get charged with. If every agency is in communication, there's no charge for the minutes. However, I understand what she's talking about, because actually the question she wants to ask, is there an abuse of the cell phones by employees? Bottom line, that's what she wanted to ask us. And it's only fair that perhaps we can look at those accounts and let the administration look into it, and perhaps Mrs. Springton, you can give us later on a report on this in a Friday letter, stuff like that. But however, I still believe that the communication systems in this time of the 2009 and 2010, we have better systems of communicating than when we have the radio or the, what do you call those?
Two-way radios.
Two-way radios. So definitely these are better communications. And perhaps some of these departments that are not really need a telephone, that we can curtail some of those.
Mr. Aguilar?
Yes, Ms. Peña.
I just have a question in the reference to cell phones. When these people are issued the cell phone, the employees, are they required to answer the cell phone at any time? Sometimes they're off, and let's say a system goes down like computers. Are they required to answer after working hours if somebody needs to call them because something went wrong? Do they have that addressed to them, or do they turn it off at 5 o'clock or turn it off when they go home?
Well, I haven't had anybody who hasn't answered as far as when I've called, or I leave a message and they will return a call.
You have how many campuses?
56.
And how many other buildings for administration?
Oh, that's...
And they all have computers?
Yes.
Because I'm looking here, I'm just, because I'm looking at it was brought up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 computer. And they have a phone so you can find them if something goes down in any of these 55 campuses. So when you do the review, I'd like for the review to be adequate to the department that you're reviewing.
Correct.
That's just what I asked, to make we don't shortchange ourselves in the long run, because I don't want to penny pinch and sacrifice the need of getting a hold of these employees, because in today's era, we need to be on top of the game in communication.
I agree. And if you'll look under each high school principal, I believe was given one last year, and that was for communication purposes with the AAs, and it was more for safety, that we could get a hold of them in case there was an emergency or vice versa. And you'll see one there for an elementary school. That was done for more of a convenience that will be returned once we open that school. Once I had a gentleman that was moving from campus to campus to campus to campus and was using his own phone, taking his own minutes, and I no, this is a district function because you're moving around from campus to campus, going to different grade levels where your kids are located, and so it's on a temporary basis. And some of these, I will go back and I will work with each individual department as you ask.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, the question is, yes, Mr. Ayla, which departments have more of a dire need or have the use of it? Because not all of them have the same dire need. You can't expect some to have the same need as the ones that are out there in the construction site.
Of course.
And that's my point.
Yeah.
Mr. Aguilar, I just want to make sure that when we look at it like Ms. Presa said.
Sure.
The ones that need it as opposed to the ones that just have it.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes. Pam?
Item 8, presentation and discussion of biotech and biometric software programs include the participation of human resource, certified classified, insurance, and payroll departments. Board member request.
Ms. Garcia?
Yes. On the, I believe the biotech system, that's the one that we've been having problems with. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay. On the biotech system, it is when an employee is first hired, because we've had problems already with payroll several times. And on the biotech, when an employee is hired, they do the data entry in what department of the employee that's getting hired?
They start in human resources.
Okay. When they start in human resource, all the information, all the data needs to be entered, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any information that's entered, it goes to the system when payroll is going to process for payment, correct?
Correct. Goes from human resources.
From human resource, okay. So by the time payroll department receives the information on the screen, the code of the pay scale, everything needs to be in place, correct?
Correct.
We purchased this software, we purchased this system, I think when Dr. Zakowski was here, if I'm not mistaken, back in early 2003, 2004. Okay. And the purpose was to eliminate a lot of the way the system used to be manually and the punching of the cards, because that's where the biometric system came into the picture of the finger and the numbers to clock into the system, correct?
Purchasing, trying to be paperless on the PO process, okay. PR process, if what I recall is correct.
And going green and so
yes.
forth. Okay. Somehow we seems to be having a problem because now, first of all, we have over, 6,000 employees, 7,000 plus employees, and I know that payroll has the number of staff that they have, and it's unfortunate they're probably understaffed for the number of people that they have. Have they been working overtime lately?
Oh, yes, ma'am. And you know that.
Yeah, I'm sure because I discussed it via email as to what needed to be done, or we shared that information. And I want to know who is liable if the pay assignment is incorrect. In other words, who's responsible if the pay assignment is incorrect? And because there's people that have the same pay assignment and there's people that have a different pay assignment. In other words, the pay scale. Not everybody gets paid the same scale, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So is the problem where payroll is having to go back in there and do the corrections manually? And if they have over 100 plus or 50 plus employees that need to be corrected on a weekly or on a daily basis, that's a lot of employees. What seems to be the problem here is that somebody is not entering or doing inputting the proper data, so when it gets to payroll, all they do is they add up the hours, or they're supposed to have the hours added, because I know that some departments still have problems with a biometric, and it's still done manually on a timesheet. Am I correct?
You're correct.
Okay.
It hasn't been fully implemented yet, 100%.
Why is that?
We have not purchased the right amount of biometric machines.
So how many campuses or how many departments are still lacking the biometric?
I don't have, Mr. Fuller, if you will come up. I know that we've been working strenuous hours on this project for the last several months. Can you give me some information there?
Thank you, Mr. Springston. Mr. Aguilar, members of the board. First of all, the biometric is completely separate and apart from BITech. Those two right now, they're independent, so we want to make sure we get that clear. Now, your question was, Ms. Garcia?
How many biometric systems are still needed to be purchased or to be in place? Since 2004.
Basically, we started with the biometrics back in 2004. We bought 79 units. Since then, we've added for 2006? 2006, excuse me. The BITech was February 2004. Since then, we started with 79 units. Since then, we bought for all the new elementary schools we've opened up. We bought additional ones for each departments. High schools now have an extra few from the very beginning. So the high schools now have 5 or 6. Middle schools are probably 3 to 4. Elementaries are at 3.
Okay. And biometric, you're still having problems there where there are some people that are still having to use the manually timesheets. Am I correct? At payroll, they're still having to work with some of those manual timesheets?
Yes, correct. There are some campuses that everybody has been directed to use the fingerprint system, the biometrics, but we do have some campuses that are turning in manual timesheets still, yes. And there are some departments, because of design of the department, they are also turning in timesheets like that.
And why isn't it that we purchased this equipment in 2000, the biometric was in 2006. Why is it that still 3 years going into 4 years we're still not fully implemented? What seems to be the problem that we're not getting to the stage or the level that we should be at?
Basically, I think it's implementation and setting deadlines and benchmarks, and we have to follow those timelines, but everybody needs to be on board throughout the district.
And everybody should have been on board throughout the district?
Ma'am, I don't know. I don't know any timelines behind that schedule.
Who would be in charge of the timeline then?
I will be. I am right now. That's why we've been having our audit reviews. That's the reason we had the vice president of the company here the last couple of weeks. It's the reason why we had the gentleman that came in, Mr. Dode, that did a review of the entire process, meeting with each department individually, meeting with the leadership teams to find out exactly where some of our problems in communication, problems with ownership, problems with some of the things that you were saying, that the communication between one department and the next. We did find a lot of those things. He is going to give us a written report this week from his review, and I'm waiting to get that report. In fact, I believe he told us this week, if I'm not mistaken, in my last exit interview with him, and to correct and go back through, and if he recommends and that we do need more people in certain positions such as payroll because of the amount of overtime that we're doing, then that is something that will be recommended, and we will follow through with that. He also indicated that there was some problems coming also with deadlines and timelines. We have, and we noticed today that we looked up, that we have certain timelines that a campus has to turn in a pay stipend from the campus to Human Resources by a certain timeline. Then Human Resources has to process that. And then if you'll look on payroll website, there is a deadline when those have to be in payroll, so that payroll has that opportunity to finish the input on the payroll side. And then it is sent into what we call an ACH file, and then that gives us that opportunity to download, send it to our bank. Our bank sends it to the Treasury. Treasury sends it out to all the other banks, and that's how the system works. And what we found out was, in some of the review, was that, what was it? Was it almost 35% of some of our campuses were not getting the some of the materials? Was it 40%? 41%. 41% was not getting some of the materials to payroll, and then that was causing a delay from payroll, from HR to payroll. These are just some of the problems that we have encountered over the last several months, and these are the things that were really just brought out to us in this audit review that we didn't know. And now we're setting in procedures, timelines, and holding people responsible for making sure that the campuses get information into HR on time so that HR is not overloaded, and that HR has an opportunity to get the material to payroll on time, and that HR is not overloaded, and therefore maybe payroll won't be overloaded because they have plenty of time to get their materials in instead of waiting to the last minute. And these are things that we've just discovered over the last several months. We were using the SunGuard BITEC system, and they have a system where you can get on the computer and they call it a helpline, and they were emailing each other back and forth, and then finally it got to a point to where I saw where the emails were not being productive. So I called the vice president of the company and said, I think we need to have a face-to-face because I saw a split where the communication between departments was not taking place, and that's unacceptable. And we need to sit down if we have obstacles, if we have problems. We need to sit down face to face, and we need to solve our problems. And it was being done by email. And sometimes we don't get emails, and you don't look at them, you don't read them that way. And so got the vice president in. We asked for this review. The review came out, and it kind of opened our eyes to a different point that we have a lot of people that didn't understand the system. We have some people who just didn't want the system. We have some people that wanted to change systems altogether, and I know that changing systems then would go right back again of going back and retraining and reteaching something that we need to go ahead and continue with since we started this thing in 2007, 2004, the entire system. And so I dedicated a lot of time in the last several months to put this system in order, to find a way to communicate the attitudes that this will work and it can work, and to make sure that our employees come first. Because when we don't communicate with each other, and then our employees do not get paid on time, that's a reflection of us as a district. And I'm not going to allow that to happen. I'm not going to allow that to take place. And so the review took place. It gave us a good opportunity and a good eye, and a good opportunity for Mr. Fuller, Mr. Reese, and that department to come up with some ways that we can make sure that the same mistakes do not happen again.
Okay, so it's understood that everybody's got their own part, their own role, and that everybody's going to work together and it's going to get done. I just don't want for it to continue any longer. I mean, it's just 1-2 times, it's just too many. And whether the software was purchased at the time that nobody was ready to make the transition, we can't be dwelling on that. We have to move on, and we have to get this program going and working properly. And it's only certain departments or half of the district, or there's still some pending. I think that that timeline needs to come pretty quick, and I know that people were very unhappy with the software or with the biometric. They were having problems originally. Maybe, like you said, it was because of lack of communication, and the people were just billing us. They sold us the software. They didn't come back. They didn't train. I don't think that's acceptable. I think that when we're paying somebody a pretty good penny, and it's my understanding that this software cost us over $1 million or so.
I think we've spent over the last, since we bought this software, about $1.1 million, and I think we've had over 30-something hours worth of training. Am I correct?
Correct. The total cost for the software was right a little over $300,000, close to $400,000. Then added to that was the training, the implementation, consulting, which brought it up to about $940,000. But since then, we've also added a few $100,000 for more training and implementation. We've had extensive consulting training with all departments. And like Mr. Springston said, this past week we went through that business process review. All departments were brought in that are responsible for various parts of the payroll, that being from human resources, certified human resources, classified payroll department, and not only the department heads, but we also went down, we wanted the clerical staff also. They were also included with these meetings. We had group meetings where all of us met, and then they had individual meetings with the consultant, Mr. Doty himself. We want to get them involved. We need to get them on board. We need to have them. They are like we said, in the trenches. They know the detail. But we needed the department heads there because they are responsible for it. But with this, we'll be setting up deadlines where every department, whether it be HR certified or classified, or personnel, or payroll, or the insurance department. They'll know exactly what is expected of them, when it is expected. They'll know the process. Now, if we need more training, we'll get more training for these individuals. They are the ones that need to be on board with us because they're the ones that are going to be doing all the work.
The original company we bought the equipment from for the software, it went out of business, correct? SunGuard picked it up? They bought out the company? The company was just bought out just recently or sold.
They
Am I
didn't.
correct? So-
They didn't go out of business. They just basically changed their names.
Okay.
It was SunGuard Bitech at the beginning. Now they're SunGuard Public Sector. They are basically strategically going into areas just to concentrate on public education, K through 12 education. That way, we have separate consultants that don't do governmental entities such as cities or counties. They're going to have solely just for public school districts.
Had anybody looked at to what other districts they had been doing business with? So like that, we wouldn't have run into this situation?
And when we
Or it was
first
just purchased just like that?
I couldn't tell you about when they first purchased it, but do you know of a couple? I think Dallas ISD is using, and
Austin ISD, we have Spring, I believe McAllen just recently purchased it. I think the school district Corpus Christi is looking at it, and then there's a couple other. Louisville ISD also has it.
And that was some other ideas, also taking a visit to one of those places and looking at some of their protocols. But we wanted to make sure that we got our campus protocols down to a T with the AAs, communicating with the campuses about timelines and deadlines, and having information that is accurate. Then from the campus to HR, with HR having its timelines and deadlines and its people having its information accurate, and then from HR to payroll. With his timelines and everything getting in with his information accurate. Those are the basic components that we found that there were some gaps with, and that's what we're going to correct first.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Aguilar? Yes, sir. Just one question. Do we have some campuses, may I address this to Mr. Springston?
Sure.
We have some campuses that are turning in or doing manual timesheets when they do have the biometric. Do they have an option, let's say administrator or coach or what have, do they have an option of using a manual timesheet when there's a biometric available, or are they required to go biometric? Where are we at this point with the implementation across the board?
Are all of our campuses right now using that biometric?
All campuses have been scanned. There are a few that are not doing it. They're still doing paper because there's something with the network, I just was told. So we are working with them to get them online.
Can you get me a number of how many have not, and how long the system has been there and they've been manual? Let's say the system's been there for a year and they've been manual for forever. I'd like to know who is not on it and what the problem is, that their fingerprints aren't taking or something. There's not enough heat in the body that's not registering. I don't know why.
Everybody's been fingerprinted. We've gone to each campus. We've gone to every department to fingerprint the employees. Now, if they were not there on that day, then they didn't get fingerprinted, but they've been instructed to come into the payroll department so they can be. So,
and if they don't come in, are we having someone to go out there and kind of lead them by the hand and say, come in here and let's have your fingerprints so we can get you on the system?
I guess we can look at a process like that.
And the only reason I'm asking, because to be fair across the board, we do have some concerns that some people don't follow that system, and then your time is different because I'm not saying you do, but you possibly could take a longer lunch hour and nobody will notice. And maybe some people are putting time over that they actually didn't work time over, but if you're doing it manually as opposed to biometric, we have no way to trace that back. So I'd like to have numbers and see how that's going. How many are not on it, and how long will it take to put everybody on it? That's if they have it in their campus and they're just not on the system.
Okay. Mary, did you get some of those notes there? I will tell you that just this year, we noticed, last year, really, we noticed in over at CAB, for example, I'm going to use CAB as an example, we had the one machine that was in the foyer, and all these people were checking out, and there was a huge line. And so we've got to look at some of these locations because there were so many people that were working there, and then they were in line for a longer period of time, 15, 20 minutes.
You pay them that time.
And we were having to pay that time. And so there was just some things that we have to look at, and I know Mary has been, Ms. Garza, excuse me, has been looking at some of these instances so that we can look at putting different machines in different locations that would also be more accessible, and we have to do the same thing on campuses. I know that when I go in the mornings to, I went to Benavides the other morning, and instead of coming here, and I did my check-in at Benavides. And see, all of our campuses, all of us would be able to do that because we are set up in a system where all our people can do that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Mr. Fuller.
Thank you, sir.
I must say that I did meet also with the vice president of the consulting firm, and he alerted me of some of the things that needs to be done in the district. And Mr. Springton mentioned something about who is going to be responsible. Well, I think that's not only the training and people, the key people, but I think there's also going to be an accountability type of thing on attitude by the administrations, which probably answer some of the question Mrs. Peña is asking about, that some campuses are not using it when they have the curriculum. So everybody needs to come aboard and be responsible. And I can see where that can happen, and I mean, you can think of many scenarios, really. Pat?
Item B, standing board agenda items. 9, board calendars.
Mr. Springton.
Thank you, Mr. President. As the next 2 weeks come upon us, I want to remind everyone, first of all, on the 10th and 11th, we do have several things going on the 10th. We do have our CRSS training that is coming up for the board from 1 o'clock till 5:30. I did get some of the agenda materials today in PowerPoint presentations. Dr. Julian Cervino out of San Antonio will be here. We're working a grand total of 13 hours, and this is a $75,000 grant that was given to us from the Meadows Foundation. That begins on Thursday the 10th, and also I want to remind that when we finish that, we're all invited to the BLA celebration, which is at 6:30. And on the 11th, I want to remind that the 9th grade and high school All-Valley concert at 7 p.m. For All-Valley kids in fine arts will be at Donna High School. Also from 12 o'clock till 4:30, we will have the second half of the CRSS training. That is from 12 o'clock till 4:30. On the 14th, we do have our district DEIC meeting, the last one for this year. I also want to make the announcement for our third time. We will be having our H1N1 flu mist clinic at the cab, and that will be first come, first service for our district students. And that will be from 4 o'clock till 7 o'clock. Again, this is our third round. Am I correct, Ms. Fox? Correct. This will be our third round. On the 15th, we have our regular scheduled board meeting at 5:30 here in the boardroom, and that will also be our annual tamalada. And on the 16th, we have our principals meeting here in the boardroom at 11:30. And we start Christmas break 5 o'clock on the 18th, which is in less than a couple of weeks. I see a lot of people here clapping. Well, Merry Christmas. We'll just say that. They're counting the days.
Thank you, Mr. Springton. Any question, guys?
The next item on our agenda is a public comment period. This is a time for citizen, staff, or students to provide their comments to the board. Statements and questions from the audience will not be permitted during other portions of the meeting. So please let us hear from you now if you have comments to present. To have your comments heard tonight, your name and the subject matter of your comments must appear on the sign-in sheet, which is located in the rear of the meeting room. Each speaker will be limited to 5 minutes to complete his or her comments. With all due courtesy, the presiding officer will strictly enforce that time limit. If a group of people want to be heard on the same topic, the board asks that they designate a spokesperson to avoid needless repetition. The board has adopted rules to preclude the abuse of open forum by, for example, anyone uselessly repeating the same comment or complaint meeting after meeting. All participants must understand that if your comment in the judgment of the presiding officer constitutes a complaint against an employee or officer, the presiding officer will interrupt and ask you to stop and direct you to proceed with the BISD's formal grievance procedures, be that DGBA, FNG, or GF local. With those cautions in mind, we will now be glad to hear the general comments.
Pat, we're going to allow 35 minutes public audience. I think that's 5 minutes, not going to hurt us any. With that, then, also, before we start, please know that Mr. Colunga came in and
Yes,
the
sir.
time
Yes, we
noted.
did.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hector Gonzalez?
Good evening. I am Hector Gonzalez, and I served as your superintendent of schools. I am here this evening for two reasons. First, to thank this community, and second, to clear the air on some issues concerning my ongoing employment status with the Brownsville Independent School District. I would like to thank the community of Brownsville for allowing me to serve them. I have served the BISD in this community since September of 1998 in numerous capacities. I have been superintendent twice, first in the 2000-2001 school year, and again from July of 2006 until my recent dismissal. I have also served as area superintendent for schools, assistant superintendent for human resources, and assistant superintendent for operations. I have always received excellent evaluations from my supervisors and or the Board of Trustees. However, I'm not here to speak about that. First, I am here to congratulate the students, past and present, for achieving excellent results in their endeavors and activities, including academics, extracurricular, and co-curricular, as we saw here tonight. I would also like to thank the parents for supporting their children in an effort to achieve their goals. The teachers are to be commended for always giving 100% in order for students to achieve success. I would also like to thank all the support staff for their tireless efforts to support the district in order for students to achieve. We all know that if we work together, we can accomplish our optimum goal of student success. All the campus leaders are to be congratulated. They work tirelessly and endlessly in order for students to be successful. I am very proud of them, as I am of every employee, student, parent, and community member that have worked passionately and compassionately in order to achieve the success that we have obtained. I also want to say a word of thanks to the top-level administrators sitting here before me. I have worked side by side with you, and I know the efforts that you put forth every day. We have all worked together for one single purpose, and that is to ensure that every student has the opportunity to achieve their goal and be successful in life. I encourage you to stay with the initiatives and strategies we implemented. I know that if you stay the course, the students will be very successful. I also want to thank the board that worked with me. Your efforts are not forgotten. Without your support, the district would not have achieved the successes it did. Now for the second reason I am here. I would like to thank those individuals that have contacted me and offered their prayers, words of support, and encouragement throughout the difficult time in my career. First, let me state that I stand tall before you because I know that I have not done anything that would have warranted what I have endured. I have not violated any laws or policies. I have always worked passionately and compassionately for the betterment of the students of this district. I fully realized that I became a target. I knew that I would be in for a difficult time when a current board member informed me in September of 2008 that there was going to be a change in the board and that if I didn't play ball with them, I would be gone. I informed them that I don't play those kinds of games and he was free to do as he wanted. Again in October, an attorney told me if the elections turned out the way he thought, I better be ready to move on, as I was no longer going to be wanted. However, the clincher came when 2 board members came to my office and told me that they were very unhappy with me because I allowed a candidate that could run against one of them to use my picture in his campaign ad. He was referring to a public picture of Eli Broad and me holding the Broad Trophy with a board member in the background. There is much more, and it will soon come to light. The truth is, I never committed any criminal offense, violated any law or policy, nor did I harass anyone. As a matter of fact, none of the allegations against me had any merit whatsoever. One of the main reasons the board voted to terminate me was because I filed a lawsuit. The lawsuit was filed after I was placed on administrative leave, and it was done so for the purpose of preserving my rights under the Whistleblower Act, as well as to stop the defamatory remarks being made against me. I reported to law enforcement authorities that I witnessed an illegal act by one of the current sitting board members. I also reported this act to the current school attorney, and it fell on deaf ears. As for the hearing examiner, I will never understand her ruling. She ignored any and all of the testimony presented on my behalf. As a matter of fact, if you read the closing arguments by the attorney representing the board, it appears that she merely cut and pasted his arguments and adopted her as her own. She will later have to answer as to her reasons for doing so. Nonetheless, the board voted to terminate my contract. I do not agree that they had a valid reason. As such, I followed the process that is afforded to me. I filed my appeal to the Commissioner of Education, Mr. Robert Scott. I am extremely, and I say extremely, disappointed in the Commissioner's ruling. He chose not to hear the appeal, but rather chose to dismiss it on a technicality. He states that I did not exhaust my administrative remedy because I did not present oral legal arguments before the board at the time the board voted to terminate my contract. That was a technical error on behalf of my former legal counsel. However, the process continues. Today, my attorney, Jeff Tillotson, a partner with Lynn Tillotson, Picker, and Cox of Dallas, has filed an appeal to the Commissioner of Education for a rehearing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not going to go away. I will not go away. If I had done something wrong, I would not hesitate in walking away quietly. But I have not done anything that would warrant me doing so. I will continue to fight until justice is served. I read in the newspaper where a board member was quoted as saying that he had no choice but to vote the way he did because my attorney did not present any legal points at the time of my dismissal. Well, Mr. Board Member, if you are truly in favor of justice, pick up the phone, call the commissioner, and tell him to listen to the appeal, not to let an error obstruct justice. At this time, I am making available the brief that was submitted to the commissioner at my first appeal. The brief will be made available to the public. Pat, if you don't mind, I would like to give a copy of the brief to each board member. I don't want them to feel that they did not get first look.
Mr. Gonzalez, you have 1 minute.
I have no problem. I'm through.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I'll make a little closing statement.
All right.
Feel free to share this with anywhere you so desire.
Okay.
I promise not to sue the Attorney General in order to protect it. I thank you for your attention. Have a good evening, and congratulations, students.
Thank you. Veronica Gonzalez. Mrs. Veronica Gonzalez.
Good evening. My name is Veronica Gonzalez, and I'm just here to support my husband, Hector Gonzalez. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Lucy Longoria, Mrs. Lucy Longoria.
Good evening. I'm here to address the board on behalf of Mr. Gonzalez. I would like to say that Mr. Gonzalez is a man of integrity. He wanted to fulfill his contractual obligations, but instead he was treated unjustly and unfairly. Many accomplishments and awards and good morale were achieved through his leadership. However, this did not matter to some of you. So now the message that you are sending out to the students, the teachers, principals, administrators, and the entire community is that it doesn't matter what good a job you do. If you're not liked, you might as well fear for your jobs. Furthermore, may I remind you that all these awards that you have been partaking, and awards and ceremonies that you have been partaking, such as the Broad and the Blue Ribbon, were all accomplishments under the leadership of Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez, thank you very much for such a great job done. And finally, a question to you, board members, or some of you board members. How can you sleep at night after all the wrongdoings you have done? Thank you.
Thank you. Yolanda Colunga? Ms. Yolanda Colunga?
Good evening, Mr. Springsteen, Mr. Aguilar, and members of the board. My name is Yolanda Colunga. I am a Hannah Band parent. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to address the board. Your continued support has made a great impact on the Hannah High School Band, and you've already seen that earlier tonight. As a parent, I'm very proud of what the Hannah Band accomplishes, and myself and many parents work hard to help support our children's efforts. The Hannah Band will be requesting to take a trip to Dallas in the spring. This provides our children with a wonderful performance opportunity and also the opportunity to venture out, interact, and demonstrate to others the great things that are happening in our music programs. The Hannah Band has taken many such trips in the past, which has allowed them to represent the school district and our community in a positive way, and also provided the students with lifetime memories. I'm here addressing the board because I'm concerned about limitations now being placed upon band trips. It is my understanding that the trips that include an amusement park will now be denied. This is the reason the band did not request a trip last year and has waited to submit a request this year. As a parent, I'm asking if there is any way those limitations can be lifted. These trips are taken at no cost to the district, and by letting our students attend an amusement park after a performance, we are rewarding them for the hard work they do throughout the year. Many trips like this have been taken in the past, and I'd like for the current band students to have the same opportunities. Thank you for your attention.
Do me a favor. Why don't you make an appointment with Mr. Springton and discuss some of this?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Neto Lopez, Jr. Mr. Neto Lopez.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, board, and everybody concerned with this. Been a very touching situation. I believe that throughout this whole thing, the ones that are going to get hurt are the ones that the young kids and all of this, because of the problems that they flow out, like osmosis, you know. And all I'd like to say is that Superintendent Hector Gonzalez is a victim of an ugly, costly, painful conspiracy. I put that in the paper one time. And that included insiders that benefited by the extended, embarrassing, costly setback of many individuals that have set back a very progressive program in our beloved BISD students, personnel, and a very high achievement to have been awarded the broad concept of educational top-notch national achievement in our beloved students and our honorable personnel. I'm sure that the results of this prestigious award will be out of reach for several years and maybe out of sight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Mr. Francisco Cifuentes.
Good evening, President of the Board, Board members, Superintendent, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Francisco Cifuentes. I represent Texas School and Will Employees Organization. I come before you again and again and again after maybe 10, 12 years to ask you to be fair to all the unions and organizations. You're going to hold a vendors seminar in a few days, but that's intended only for people who have access to certain sales and things that go on in the district. Is not for everybody. It's just certain personnel that can attend that seminar. And vendors, there are certain type of vendors. Unions and organizations are considered vendors. We have never, ever given the opportunity to make a presentation before the employees of this district. I had the opportunity to attend other districts, and they gave us a day that we can present. It was just maybe an hour for all of us to make our presentations, to let the people know who we were and what we do for the employees of the districts. I've been asking you for years to allow us the time, and you have not listened to us for years, or to me, because I made the request. It went one ear and out the other. You never listened to what I was requesting up until today, after 13, 14 years being around the district. I think it's about time that you listen to my requests. And I'm not asking for my organization. I'm asking for all other organizations and unions. And please allow us the time to make that presentation to the employees of the district. Be fair. That's all I'm asking today. Thank you very much.
Mr. Cifuentes, again, make an appointment with Mr. Springton and discuss all this what you have to, and perhaps we don't have to wait another 13 years.
I requested it from the previous administration. I made an appointment with the superintendent, and it was to no avail.
Well,
thank you.
He will talk to you. Yeah. Mr. John Clark.
Hello. Good evening, Mr. Springston and members of the board. It's nice to see you tonight. My name is John Clark, president of the Brownsville Classroom Teachers Association. I'd like to say at the beginning that I'd like to give some credit to one of my colleagues, Albert Alegria, who has served for 6.5 years as president of another teacher association, the AOBE. I can't believe I said that out loud. Although I just said their initials, not their whole name. But Albert has resigned, and I just want to give him credit as being recognized as someone who sounds like a cliche, the hardest working guy I know, but he really is. It's not a cliche. He really believes in his members and works for them, and he had great judgment, and he made a real contribution to the working conditions for teachers and other employees here in this district, and I wish him all the best. And I'm sure we'll see him around. I do need to talk tonight about something that has come up, which is the payroll and paycheck situation. And I'm having trouble finding a middle ground in how to discuss this, because I know that Mr. Springston and Mr. Aguilar and many members of the staff are working very hard on this. And yet, we're not there yet. as I think we all know. And so I'm trying to figure out how to say we need to get this done, even though I know you're working on it. But I do need to bring it up because it is a matter of big concern in the district for just about everybody. And let me just not sugarcoat it at all and to say that nobody is okay with this as far as people who are not getting the correct paychecks on time. They're not. Don't let anyone tell you that it's okay, I'm okay. If members of the administration are hearing that, it's because those employees are being polite and thinking of their jobs. They're not at all satisfied with what's going on. I want to talk about, direct deposit for just a minute, and I kind of want to go back in history and talk about this whole payroll, how we get paid thing. And, way back when, it started out as bartering. We did our work and we traded things that were of use, that we needed in life, for other things that were of use. And, that progressed. There's a progression here. And it progressed from, useful things to like precious artistic objects. And some of those precious things were like precious metals, like a piece of gold. After that, it kind of turned into, we were making coins out of gold. And those coins, those were cool. They were worth their weight in gold. This is my night for cliches. Okay? They were worth their weight. They really were that thing. Well, as time passed, we made more coins. They represented the value of the metal at times. They were gold-plated, silver-plated. And then moving through history, we came up with paper money. And we know the paper wasn't worth that much, but it was backed by things like gold. Initially, we got rid of the gold standard, okay, and the paper just represented value. And, moving through history, then we had paychecks. That were good to go and get money elsewhere. And now we're at a time where we have direct deposit. So we're not actually receiving a pay check when we get paid. This is a real level of abstraction from actual useful objects to a receipt that we get the next day after a deposit has been made in our account. And, what is that? What is that deposit? It's a bunch of electrons on a screen. It really is. So there's really no money involved. Why am I bringing all this up? Which everyone is asking. Because I'm a teacher, I can't help it. I don't know.
Good point.
It's a level of abstraction. There is no standing face-to-face, looking eye to eye, handing one thing from our hand to your hand. It's not there anymore. There's a button called send that gets pressed, and it's supposed to happen. But you know what? If it doesn't happen, nobody's looking somebody else in the eye and saying, too bad. Don't have it today. That's gone. And that, I think, makes it easy for it to not be done. I think it's too easy for us to not be paid the correct amount on the correct day. And we're hearing that tonight, not from my words. We're hearing stuff like some people didn't understand it, some people didn't want it, some people wanted a new system. And what's the result? A lot of incorrect paychecks. I also heard tonight that we're talking about getting timelines, deadlines, getting everything lined up, synchronized so that the correct documentation moves up through the system in a timely manner. Mr. Springston, you and I worked on this last spring, and you worked very hard, and you got it done. There were stipends, there were not. It was all over the map as far as timelines. Some campuses turned it in a month late, and you got it done. And yet I'm here tonight that it's not done, and that that's part of the problem. And what I'm concluding from that is just me. But what I'm concluding is, and hearing other things like people don't understand it, people don't want it, that they're not working hard enough. That it's easy. to just not get it done. And Mr. Aguilar, I heard you say accountability, and I've talked to you guys, and I know that you are serious. I know that you are absolutely, totally serious on this. And I can tell you that the employees here, they want you to follow through with this. They want you to do what it takes to get this going. And I believe you will, and I'm supporting you in that. I know it's not pleasant for me to come up and speak about it, but it's time. It's time. And it represents who we are and how we feel about our teachers here. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Board President, I'm not going to interrupt you or whatever. I'm Orlando Trevino, and I've come the last few times. Somehow or another, my name is called about 5:45. You as Board President can't give me a couple minutes. I'll respect the decision either way, just to say a few words. And
Mr. Trevino, you know the rules. Orlando, I've talked to you many times on it. I think we...
No, I understand that, but you as
thank you
Board
very
President,
much, sir.
you can...
Thank you very much. Pat?
Item 12, closed meeting. As pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Section 551071, 551072, 551074, 551082, and 551084. Item B35A, discussion and possible action regarding Brownsville ISD versus Office of the Attorney General of the State of Texas, cause number D1GN09001082 in the District Court, 353rd Judicial District, Travis County, Texas. Item B, discussion and possible action regarding Brownsville ISD versus Office of the Attorney General of the State of Texas, cause number D1GN09001387 in the District Court, 200.
Cortez is not here?
Yes.
He left? 35.
Versus